Today's video, we're going to be talking about our shocks and our new shock package we just got today.
So, move all this stuff out the way. See, I got oil on my hands, right? This shock right here was the right front shock on my car. So what ended up happening was the bottom seal for the shock at the end of the body blew out, and when that blew out, it locked the shock up. And this shock is locked up in this position here. It won't move, it won't change. See a bit of oil there just from moving them around. So what happened was this shock locked up. Once it lost the seal, it got hot and ended up locking the shaft up inside the shock body. This shock here, see, it's bent. I don't know if I can show in another angle, but you can see that shock there is bent. This one still moves. It's just missing about 4 inches of stroke. So when it gets to this point here, it won't move anymore. But the shock itself is fine. It's the shaft itself that's bent. And I do believe there is some body damage to this. See all the oil on that one. I think the only body damage is right here and right here. So what ended up happening with that is we knocked the front end out from it. It broke the rod, radius rod, and the whole front axle came back. We got caught up in a first lap winter situation, so everyone piled up. So that rod broke and shoved the whole axle back. So I pulled off to the side because my steering was knocked out. Steering wouldn't steer. So the second I stopped, someone hopped my left rear on the car and basically scraped the whole, not really the whole thing, but scraped all my fiberglass and a couple nicks and got a good, scrape on the frame. It's racing. It is what it is. Can't really complain about it. I can, but I won't. So what ended up happening was this pin actually broke off the car. When the car come up, it looked like probably a tail basket, because you see where it's rubbed up here. Tail basket come up, hit this here, and all shock was laid over backwards down here. I didn't know it at the time that shock was ripped off and it was bent until I got out of the car in the pits. So that's what happened with that shock. As far as the other ones, these ones are still good. So this shock here, this was on my right rear. This one worked pretty good. That bump stop did what it was supposed to. For 40 bucks, it's worth it. My only issue was I couldn't add any more compression to this right rear because when I was hitting the bump stop, the car got tight and it wouldn't want to churn. So that being said, our new shock package is going to fix that because this is a non-compression adjustable shock. We now have compression adjustable shocks. This was a left front shock. This one's okay. This was a left rear shock. This one's okay. But these are going to be spares. I've got a whole new shock package today that we're going to step our game up on the car, and it's going to fix a lot of our handling issues and allow us to tune it better for each track. Alright, so we're going to start with our rear shocks now that we have. So this is a right rear compression adjustable, so I can adjust my compression on the shock. So this is a right rear shock. As you see, there's a bump pad here, or a bump spring you'd call it. Compared to my other shock, my other right rear, I had an ARS bump stop on it. This one's good. It works. It does what it's supposed to for the price. So instead of a bump rubber, we've got a bump spring now on the right rear. And again, fully compression adjustable, smooth body. All these shocks are made by Mike Schure, so SBS Suspension. So we're going to run his shocks now. As far as the other ones, those will be sent back out to him and have them rebuilt. So there's our right rear shock, fully compression adjustable. Both rear shocks are 7-inch stroke. So now we come down to our left rear. Same thing, left rear, compression adjustable, 7-inch stroke. Same exact thing, smooth body. These are, because I don't run a torsion car, I run a coil front car and a torsion rear, so I have to run coil kits. And coil kits is basically lower and an upper, and then you have a coil that goes in between there. And you have different spring rates for coils, stuff like that. But these shocks are, again, fully adjustable as far as compression. So again, I can adjust the compression on the shock on each of the end of the eye loops. These are 6-inch stroke, compression adjustable, all made by Mike Schure. These are a Infinity base shock. So even though it's basically Infinity is AFCO in a sense, it's weird how they do it, but these are for the front. I've got the adjusters, and I also have cables for both the fronts and the rear. So I got all 4 adjustable cables. I've just got to pull the adjuster knobs off and install my cable, and my cables will be routed inside the car. Alright, so we got both coils on the shock here, both front shocks. What's nice about what Mike Schure does is he labels each shock. So there's no possible way, well, I mean, you could screw it up, but there's no really true way that you could screw this up. So per the valving that you agree with him to what he's going to do on your shock, he will write, well, not write, but he'll engrave which shock goes where. So you see that one says right front. And then this one, of course, is going to say left front, if I could show it. So there's left front there. There's your rebuilt AFCO logo, right? And most of all his shocks, I believe, are still coming black. So the whole package comes black, which is nice. You know, especially because I have a white car, the black shocks will look good with it, even though my front shocks are covered with shock covers to protect them. Alright, so we got both shocks mounted on the front of the car with the coil kits. So one of my tips on what I do as far as my shock package here now is after I block everything, as far as putting the shocks on the car, you want your pins, your recess to be to the back, okay? Same thing for the front. Reverse your front, so if a tire comes in, all it's going to do is tighten it up at the most or bend the crap out of it. Same thing with the front. The front, if a rock hits it, you want a rock to hit it and just put it tighter, right? You don't want this backwards, so if a rock hits it, it just knocks the pin out, and all of a sudden now you lose your shock all over the track. Also, too, what I do, my adjusters face backwards. One, so that way they don't get packed full of dirt, and two, rocks will hit them. You know, the last thing you want is a rock, a big rock coming in here and breaking this adjuster off. So it's just easier, put them to the back to where they're not going to get damaged. Same thing with the shock body. If you don't want to damage the shock body with the Allen screw here, and this is what locks it down, you put tape around here, both sides, that'll hold it, and wrap tape around there if you're worried about a tire coming in, because these tires, when you turn the axle, the tire will rub every now and then here and possibly can run it out. So extra insurance, when you screw this down, you put tape around there. It also protects the shock body threads, as well as keeping this from coming loose and backing all the way off. You're also going to want to take and zip tie your coil to the top of the lower holder. And then after you have everything zip tied, just go ahead, cut these off as flush as possible, because if you don't cut them off as flush as possible, when you go to work on it, you're going to split your hand open with really, really sharp zip ties. Alright guys, that's going to end today's video as far as about our new shock package. Here's one of them old ones. These are going to get sent out and get rebuilt, and we'll have those as spares. But as far as a new shock package, I can't wait to test them out. They're real nice to work with, just putting them on the car, and I'm sure they'll look even better in the winter circle. Hopefully we can get there. Alright guys, have a good one.